Morning, guys. So we are on another no heating call today, and I arrived out here, immediately came outside, and we found that it is a heat pump. And I pulled the panel off, and I saw that the board was on a high pressure lockout. And so I got inside and set the thermostat and came out, and it had already shut off on high pressure, and the discharge line was around 600 psi, and I didn't really even see what was happening. So I'm gonna kick it back on here and try to see if there's anything failing out here. Got a fan. Our suction pressure is not moving, but moving slow, and our head pressure is going way up. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and dive into this thing and check the inside unit real quick, and I'll let you guys know what I find. Alright guys, so I just went inside and verified the metering device was a piston, and went up in the attic and I checked the line set to make sure there wasn't any restrictions or anything. And then I went in and changed the thermostat to cool mode, and hopefully I can kind of get a better idea. If something's restricted out here, I may be able to see it frosting up before the unit shuts off, or if the unit immediately shuts back off on high pressure, I'll know. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Alright, so it just came on in cool mode now. You can see our true suction is dropping. It's just going down. If you see our head pressure, we are there at about 60 degrees. About 160 psi. And we're stopping here at about 60 psi. Take a look around here. I am thinking our piston inside may be restricted. We're not quite sure yet. This is a 410A system, and I did switch the high side gauge over to the liquid line here. I am running in AC mode now, and we're holding steady at about 10 degrees. So we definitely have a restriction somewhere. And it doesn't necessarily mean the head pressure is going to be way out of whack either, if there is some kind of liquid line restriction in the condenser. So we got to cover all our bases with this one. Alright guys, so this is what I've done. I saw the unit was going off on high pressure and heat mode, switched it over to cool mode, and saw we weren't barely getting any refrigerant back to the condenser via the suction line. I checked the attic, there was no restrictions. Checked indoors, and it is a piston. And all the signs to me right now are pointing to a restricted piston. So what I'm going to do is pump this guy down, and we're going to open that unit up inside at that piston and visually inspect it. Alright guys, so here is our alleged culprit. So I got the system pumped down, and gonna open her up here and see if I can find a problem with it. restrictions. Alright, so as I showed you, I don't think we have a restriction here in the piston, but I think we do have a restriction inside of these cap tubes. So what I'm going to do is go out and I'm going to blow some nitrogen. First, I'm going to go ahead and blow it through the liquid line. It would be entering the piston, and then I will pressurize the suction and see if we can get any air or nitrogen coming out the other direction, as it would in heat mode. So let's see what we find. Alright guys, so as you can see, up to the metering device is totally clear. Now we're going to test it coming the other direction. Alright guys, so it seems I was incorrect in my deductions. I'm getting a lot of nitrogen flow out of there too. So I don't think our restriction is inside like I thought it was. So we are going to connect this all back together and pull a vacuum and run the system again. I'm thinking we may have to recover some refrigerant if the problem's outside, but we'll find out for sure. Alright guys, so I got a vacuum pulled and released the refrigerant, and I have turned the thermostat on, got my gauges connected here so I can watch, and the fan pulled out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a restriction across this TXV. I have a feeling there's nothing going across, so we may have to change it to cool mode. Actually, I think it's going to be in cool mode when it comes on. So it was allowing a little bit of refrigerant through in cool mode, but not any right now. And in heat mode, it immediately goes off on high pressure. So let's see what happens, see if we get any frost, or I can get a temperature difference across that TXV. Alright, so I went through the process here. I checked the reversing valve. That's functioning proper. There wasn't a temperature drop across this valve in cooling mode anyway. There definitely is in heating mode, and that's exactly what I'm looking for in heating mode. But it's not frosting up or anything. It's not too much of a restriction, so that's doing its job as well. And I did check the temperature differential across the filter dryer as well. No restriction there. It's kind of a head scratcher. So I'm going to go ahead and do what I was instructed to do with the refrigerant. You know, it's always possible there's non-condensables in this thing. What gets me is it's been running for 2 years like that without anyone knowing, so I don't know how all of a sudden it would happen now, but I'm going to do that and see if that corrects the problem. Alright fellas, so after all that work, all that troubleshooting, I finally found the cause, and I wasted so much time on this. Well, just a couple hours, but you look right here. We got a factory charge here of about 184 ounces, and if you do the math on that, it comes out to about 11.5 pounds. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's what I pulled out of it. Over 16.5 pounds, almost 17 pounds I pulled out of this whole system. Means it was overcharged by about 6 pounds. And there's still about 30 psi left in there. And I just couldn't really believe it, man. It's been running like this for 2 years. Either that or something else happened and somebody came during the summer and dumped a ton of refrigerant in it. So we're gonna charge it up with some virgin refrigerant anyway, and kick it back on and watch the pressures and everything. But man, it just goes to show, like, we got to check the simplest stuff first. I'm usually not one to just put my gauges on and remove a bunch of refrigerant if I see a problem. I want to look through the whole system and look at the big picture. Too many times I've removed refrigerant and, you know, we had restrictions somewhere, or other types of problems. But it is what it is, really. Guys, so as you can tell, that took care of the problem. Yeah, looks like we have just started it up a couple of minutes ago, but we're already about 100 degrees over ambient on the discharge line, rising a little bit. I'd say it's probably about 50, 55, so yeah, we're about 100, so 100, 110 would be probably good, but that's just a rule of thumb. I know everything's right now because I weighed it in myself, but it just goes to show, man, you can't come into a job with preconceived notions and go through without looking at the most simple things first. If I would have came up and saw that high pressure, dumped a little bit of refrigerant out, I would have quickly figured out that it was just an overcharge situation. But seeing as how this unit was just installed about 2 years ago, and he hadn't had any problems with it all summer or last winter, I immediately skipped that part of the diagnostic, and I immediately went into thinking there was a restriction somewhere. Still really doesn't explain why my suction saturation was so low, but I mean, like I said, it is what it is. If I look at my true suction right now in heat mode, we're still about 40 degrees. It's about 55 degrees out here, so man, well, that'll be it for this one. I'm gonna clean up and get the hell out of here, but thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, like. If you dislike it, and let me know what you would have done differently. If you would have just jumped on here and started taking refrigerant out, or you would have looked a little deeper like I did. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.